Mastercard have been at the forefront of financial inclusion. Paul hinted at it early, and as we discussed, without that and bringing everybody along, we have no real future. So could you share your thoughts on the trends in financial inclusion, what you're doing and what you're seeing?
Yes, thank you, Mark. And I'd like just to say to Arcadia that I really welcome driverless cars. A, because I hate parking, but B, because actually my goddaughter, who has a first-class degree from Oxford, is statemented blind, and she will never be able to drive. So inclusion actually is many things, and driverless cars could include many more people in being able to navigate around society more easily. So I think that would be a fabulous thing. Moving to financial inclusion, we started working on this about 7 years ago. The World Bank published stats about 5 years ago saying there were 2.5 billion people in the world excluded from the financial system. That's subsequently dropped to 1.7 million, so it's good news. We're actually making real progress against this, and that's through partnerships all over the world. I'm not talking about Mastercard here, I'm talking about everyone in the world working together to address this problem. And as we looked at it, actually what is fundamental in starting it is really digital inclusion. People having actually an identity to say, this is who I am. Because in many parts of the world, people don't have identity papers, passports, and so on. And so governments have been very instrumental in rolling out digital identity programs. If we move into the developed world, such as Russia, then I think that we're actually talking about digital inclusion here as the next huge wave. And it's already here in Russia. Actually, 55% of payments in Russia are actually digital today, which is one of the most leading countries in the world in this space. It's quite fantastic, and that's just happened over the last few years. And why has it happened? As you heard from the mayor, it's because we have digital portals, we have transit systems that take digital payments. Now we'll have cars that take digital payments, and we'll be moving, as the Prime Minister said, to the Internet of Things here very rapidly in Russia. And the thing will be, as you said, Mark, there's no point moving to the Internet of Things if you don't have the Internet of everyone. So you must have inclusion to actually create an environment that's going to work in the future. And we have been working, not just in Russia, but with other partners around the world to see how to drive that forward. So far, we brought over 340 million people into the financial system, and the latest things that we're doing is actually in the B2B space, and it's working with Paul's area in Africa, where we're working on the Unilever supply chain and actually being able to use that supply chain to bring small businesses into the supply chain to be able to buy more Unilever products, because they have a history of what these businesses are buying. We have the ability to hook up the payment networks to have it all digitized, and we can encourage the banks to actually provide credit to these small companies based on the fact they're part of the Unilever supply chain. And if you think about that model, that could work everywhere in the world, including Russia.
Well, thank you, Anne. And actually, the question from the internet is some of the things you hit on already, but obviously Mastercard has been involved in cashless payments. You are a leader in the field. And where do you see digitization of financials going forward? What's the next step? What should we expect? How long do we see it everywhere is what the question asks.
Well, we do see it everywhere. We just see it, at different rates everywhere in the world. Some countries in the world are 99% cash. Other countries in the world are 99% electronic. If you look up at Scandinavia, for example, or in the 90s anyway, electronic. What I think is a big thing to solve and to keep an eye on going forward, as the Prime Minister mentioned, is actually the cyber crime. We really need to be generating safe systems that consumers feel a lot of trust in, and we have to be able to hold consumer data in a way that they don't feel that their privacy is infringed. And all of these things are moving at a pretty rapid pace around the world now. The Prime Minister started talking about artificial intelligence. Katie just gave us the car example. Artificial intelligence is now being used to protect the citizen from cybercrime. And so instead of, say, having to remember a password, first of all, you'd use your biometrics on your phone to unlock your phone to make a payment. By the way, Apple Pay, I think Russia's the biggest Apple Pay country in the world. But not only that, if you picked up my phone, Mark, and you started to key, we have algorithms today that would say, that's not Anne's keystrokes, that's somebody else's keystrokes. And the artificial intelligence could say, maybe that's a fraudulent transaction, and actually protect me from you using my device to make a payment. And this is the type of latest advances that are coming in. The next wave really is going to be conversational commerce, where we actually talk to devices. It's already happening with Alexa, Amazon's products and so on, to order things over the internet, and that's going to create an even greater need for this biometric algorithms security. But let's not forget about the inclusion angle. Paul raised the point here that as we move into these fantastic technological advances, we have to remember what it means about people. And I think, the Prime Minister mentioned at the beginning that Russia needs to educate many more people in science and technology. One of the things that we see around the world, and I can say this being one of the few women in the room, is there aren't enough women that are entering the field of science and technology anywhere in the world. And this is something that I think we need to address, because we're missing half the human race in terms of training and educating people to be the best and brightest minds for the future. I'm sure that Russia could actually take a lead in that, especially in its education system. But also let's think of all of the small players across the country, across the world, who need to connect up with the financial system to be able to buy and sell, to be able to run their businesses, to be able to be part of these big supply chains of these big companies, with the advent of One Belt, One Road, with the coalescence of Eurasia. And I think all of these things offer great opportunity to bring more people, and especially in the commerce space, into the global supply chain using internet technology, biometrics, digital, and AI. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. All right. We've had some